Hey, what's up, farm friends? It's your friendly neighborhood farmer Sam coming to you from the Runamuk Acres Conservation Farm in Maine. And I thought we'd try something a little different with this week's farm update and make a video from the garden. So I'm going to take you around the garden and show you what's growing, and then I'll sit here and share some of the details of the past couple weeks with you, and we'll see where it takes us. All of my peppers growing nicely. I've got just a couple, looks like 3 eggplants here in the front and a random tomato plant that I stuck here. A few watermelons back here. And of course my flower patch is growing nicely. Cucumbers on this trellis I just put up the other day. My little apple trees. More tomatoes. So many tomatoes. And I laid down this cardboard on this section so I can plant more flowers and herbs. Herby herbs. Lots of tomatoes coming along. I'll be eating those real soon. And of course, my squash patch. Look at this thing. Holy shamoles. I just like listening to the birds when I'm out here. So these are my red onions and my summer eating onions right here. And that cold frame has my summer eating carrots. And these are more red onions. I have one CSA member who really loves red onions, so I grow them just for her. And these are all my winter storage onions. Some more summer eating carrots over here. And these are, the one on the left is my giant pumpkin that I'm trying. And then this is my Cinderella pumpkin over here. And this patch is all my zucchinis and summer squashes and another row of cucumbers on that trellis back there. This is where the peas were on this trellis, and then I've cleared them out and replanted that spot with pole beans. This is my dry beans down through here, this whole bed. And a few random cabbages. Some of them made it and some of them didn't. This is the other side of the squash patch. So many squashes, and of course some corn growing up through there. I was going to do the Three Sisters, but my squashes just kind of exploded, and there's no going back in there now to put beans. There's no going in there for anything at this point. They're just taking control, and I kind of love it. I think it's beautiful. Come down through here. And I have this bucket of fish emulsion set up to fertilize the squash patch, but I'm having issues with my siphon injector, so I'm working to troubleshoot that so that I can apply this mixture. These are my green beans, 2 beds of them, and my potatoes are still under row cover. I am bound and determined to avoid the Colorado potato beetle. Beets, mainly for the greens. I'll do some fall beets real soon here, I think. And 2 beds of winter eating carrots. And more potatoes over here. Cover crop back here needs to be crimped. I'm kind of late with it, but I think it'll still do the job. I'm okay with it. Compost pile. Some more random tomatoes over here. But yeah, there she is. She's looking pretty good. I've suspended succession sowing temporarily, just to keep up with the weeds and focus on keeping what I've already planted growing. No dogs. No dogs in the garden. Find a spot. So, it's overcast today, and it looks like we've got some rain rolling in. In fact, there's some sprinkles coming down right now, but that doesn't bother me as much as like the bugs that love this cooler weather. So the mosquitoes are out and the black flies are out here, but I'm gonna power through it. We took our annual family day trip this week, and my sister and Braytek and I all went to Rockport for the day, and we had a picnic lunch, and we explored the Beach Hill Preserve, where they are doing conservation work in tandem with blueberry production, which is really interesting. And they have these they manage their fields by burning and bush hogging to promote different like elevations of growth for different kinds of bird populations. So that was really neat to look at, and we did this 1-mile loop there on the preserve, and then we saw the Andre the Seal statue. I don't know if anybody remembers the Andre the Seal story, but it was a seal pup that a Rockport harbor master adopted. I don't know. I think it was maybe back in their 70s. Maybe it's just a main story, but it really resonates with me. So it was really neat to go and see the Andre the Seal statue, and then I came home and watched the movie and pulled out the book because I've got the children's book. But there were tornado warnings that day and talk of hail in the forecast, so I was pretty nervous to leave the farm, and I was worried about my sunflowers being all toppled over, but they weren't. They were fine. There was no tornado. There was some pretty strong winds, and tree branches came down across a lot of power lines, so there were some issues around that for folks, but we came through relatively unscathed, and my sunflowers are all still standing, so I'm pretty happy about that. Oh, on the way back, we stopped in Gardner for ice cream, and we ate it along the stretch of the Kennebec where the sturgeon jump, and so we sat there counting sturgeon jumping as we were eating our ice cream, and it was pretty cool. Been harvesting radishes, scallions, zucchini, summer squash, beet greens, herbs, and I've got some onions that are ready. So my CSA members have had their pick of all of that, and Braytek and I have certainly been eating very well. Processing the last of my snap peas. I sold some of them to CSA members. We've eaten quite a bit, and I have 3 pounds already in the freezer, and I'll process. I think I probably have another 3 or 4 pounds worth. So, and that just involves stringing them. You got to remove the strings, and then I'll blanch them, put them on a cookie sheet, and put them in the freezer for 12 to 24 hours. And then I put them in either Ziploc bags or vacuum seal them. I've been drying some herbs, plantain and yarrow so far. I'm planning on harvesting some clover and some of the oat pods for tea. I want to make a herbal tea blend, not just for my own use, but as a farm product. So we're in the thick of the season now. July is peak weeding time, so I've suspended succession sowing for now. I plan to put in some parsnips and carrots to overwinter, and I'll put in some more greens, I think, and maybe radishes and scallions. so we can have a fall harvest. And those kinds of things you can keep relatively late into the season. They'll tolerate a bit of cold, but I also have my hoops and row cover that I can cover them with. And I'm working to plant my cold frames so I can use them this winter. But the main thing is weeding. I'm out here every day, at least an hour weeding. I've got my stirrup hoe and my wire weeder, and I usually will use those for a bit until, I'll use them until my body starts to get sore. And then I'll switch to hand weeding, and I'll fill at least 1 5-gallon pail every day. And they go right on the compost, or I have like a compost heap. I have 2 piles. I have my compost bin, and where I'm putting some of my weeds and my kitchen scraps, and then I have like a big heap where everything else goes. My hose-on siphon injector has been giving me grief. I'm not sure why. I've used it before. You can't use it with drip irrigation, so I can only use it with my sprinkler. I wanted to use it to apply fish emulsion to the squash patch because that's a foliar feeder, and where I can't get in there now to fertilize at the roots like I was before, I have to send it from above. And then waiting for a cloudy day, not too hot so I'm not burning my plants. That's been a thing. And then I finally got a window yesterday and I went to use my siphon injector and it's not sucking the solution properly, so I had to take it off, take it in the house, and I'm soaking it in vinegar. Hopefully that will clean it, and I'll see if I can flush anything that might be clogging the tube and see if that solves the problem. This week I published a post about the Wire Bridge here in New Portland. It's a historic landmark and something I always recommend visitors go see. So I published that, and I went down to see the bridge and get some pictures, and I noticed on the new sign for Whitten Woods that they are claiming it to be the first public conservation acreage in New Portland. And I was like, wait a minute, Runamuk is the first conservation acreage open to the public in New Portland. And so I emailed the Somerset Woods to let them know, and I got a polite response back from their director, and so I think they're going to change that verbiage on their sign. I was worried that it was going to be a thing, but she was very amiable. We discussed potential future collaborations, so that's pretty exciting. Speaking of exciting, I've got some new opportunities on the horizon for Runamuk. I have been working with Liz Reitzig, the raw milk mama. I took her farm marketing class and revamped my business plan, and now Liz is working with this organization called Pass Up to connect farmers with grant opportunities. So I may have a shot at getting some grant money to help my farm along, which would be super exciting. And I'm really focusing now on establishing Runamuk as a destination in the area. A place where people can come to connect with nature. They can walk our trails, bird watch, snowshoe, picnic with their families. So I'm planning to bring our picnic table from the campsite out back up to the edge of the field, and hopefully I can get that kiosk up this season. I'll keep the CSA. I might grow it a little bit, but not too big. I want to keep everything manageable for myself. However, I already have way more food than just Braytech and I need in this garden, so I definitely want to share it with more people. And I can't not grow, so I might as well feed some people while I'm doing it. It's the same thing with my writing. I can't not write, so I might as well make some money while I'm doing it. And it supports my farm. So the timeline on that is like with any funding, the timeline is always, there's a lot of hoops and red tape that you got to jump through. So this is not a this season project. I'm trying to set it up so I have those funds to work with next year. Yesterday we hosted our second annual library book walk. One of my CSA members is a volunteer at the community library here in New Portland, and she connects us with that program and gets people onto the farm for these adventures. the program this year is really focused on companion planting. So of course they thought of me, and we had the kids come and they came in the garden for a tour. They got to pick some carrots and radishes, and then we took a walk around the field. And then after that, they did a craft at the picnic table up by the barn. So it was a really nice experience. I got to get the kids engaged, and we talked about microbes in our gut and microbes in the soil, which, you know, I love. One of my CSA members requested a meal kit service from me. She asked if I would be interested in cooking for them. They're older folks, and she doesn't want to cook all the time, but her husband wants, you know, a regular dinner. So they asked if I would be interested in doing that for them. They've tried the HelloFresh, but she said that it was just too much sodium and the food wasn't that great, and I can only imagine, like, so I'm giving some thought to that. You know how I feel about baking and being stuck in the kitchen, so I don't want to rush into anything, but giving it some consideration. Did you know I have a fairy godmother, and she sends me presents and donations? And when I posted recently about my laptop giving me trouble, like I can't do lives on it because it's just too slow, I had eaten up all the space, and no matter what I deleted, it was still just short on space. It wouldn't let me do anything. So my fairy godmother sent me a new laptop, and she also sent me some other goodies. She sent me an Oya. So this is what it looks like before it's buried, and then I'll bury it here in this raised bed, and you just take off the little cover and fill it with water, and it diffuses through the clay to water the soil and keep your crops moist. Pretty sexy, huh? And then over here, I have a new bird bath. Isn't this thing beautiful? It's all copper and 2 tiers, and it's got this decorative work underneath. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna put some water in it and see if the bluebirds come and bathe in it. It'll be awesome. There she is, all filled up. My Oya. And I just put the little cover on it like this. Ta-da! And here's another present that my fairy godmother got me. A salad spinner. The other thing I've been spending a lot of time with lately is my Wild Hearts and Harvest publication, and I picked up where I left off on Blackstone Mountain, and I'm working to build more of a base for my fictional writing, and I've been mulling over a new direction for my historical fictional romance farm smut, and you can find out more about that over on Wild Hearts and Harvest. I'll include a link in the replay. So that's the week. That's how things have gone. We never did see any tornadoes, not even any hail, just a bunch of wind, and my sunflowers are still standing tall. But really, that's kind of how this whole season has gone. I had a plan, and then things have just kind of gone sideways in one direction or another, and there's really nothing you can do for it except pivot and try and meet life halfway, right? If you've ever had a season like that, leave me a comment and let me know what's still hanging on your list and what did you have to let go of instead. And as always, I thank you for being here and joining me. I really appreciate it, and it really does make a difference having you reading and following along and supporting me from wherever you're watching from. So I thank you for being here, and sending love and good juju to you and yours.